Good morning, it's Friday, July 18th. I'm meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with a look at your Canadian Prairie weather story. We've got a parade of storm systems moving through the Prairie. This stormy pattern, this window of opportunity that we've been talking about, remains open through the end of July into the beginning of August. We've got a stormy next 10 days from the Prairies all the way down into the Corn Belt. Cooler weekend temperatures here, warmer by late week. We continue to really keep prolonged extended heat out of the area. Often we've been seeing these warmer stretches in the day 5 to 15 time frame, and then they're just not quite so bad once we actually get a bit closer. So with storminess in the forecast through the next 4 to 5 days, temperatures generally on the cooler side, maybe a little more hot and stormy as we get toward mid to late next week. We'll just have to kind of see about that. The last 7 days, though, several storm systems here bringing an inch or more to a lot of places across central and southern Alberta into central and southern portions of Saskatchewan. Trailing off as you make your way further to the east, precipitation totals a little bit more variable and a little bit on the lighter side as you make your way all the way over into southern portions of Manitoba. Now, as we take a look at the satellite picture, infrared satellite here, as we get going on Friday morning, a big area of low pressure across the Hudson Bay. Got an area of higher pressure across the western United States with little disturbances kind of rolling over the top of this subtle and kind of evolving meandering ridge here that, again, continues to not really get out of control, continues to be suppressed off to the south and to the west across portions of the United States. So a couple of disturbances, one departing, some shower and thunderstorm activity ongoing across southeastern Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba, into the Dakotas, parts of the upper Midwest. Another storm system entering the picture here on the left side there. Shower and storm activity making its way through the Peace River area here, moving into portions of central and southern Alberta as we head through the next 24 hours. Those temperatures, again, a little bit on the cooler side, mid to upper single digits across a lot of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Temperatures as low as 4 to 5 degrees here just off the mountains in the Calgary area. And then a little bit warmer as you make your way further to the east, again, out ahead of that area of low pressure across southeastern Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba. South of that, temperatures a little warmer in the mid to upper teens. Here's a look at the forecast here from the NAM model. Again, storm system number 1 that's departing, storm system number 2 here kind of entering the picture. This will take us through Sunday and Monday. So here's your day today. Pretty quiet across a lot of the prairies. We go through the middle part of the afternoon, the late part of the afternoon. Maybe some isolated showers or storms across southern portions of Manitoba, and then expecting rain and some thunder moving out of Peace River into western portions of Alberta by the end of the day today. This is what happens overnight, and then as we get into Saturday afternoon, we've got an area of low pressure now across the Alberta-Saskatchewan border. Look for some showers and storms out ahead of that, maybe an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm, a little bit more muted, more in just the rainy variety here as we get towards Saturday afternoon and evening across portions of Alberta. Again, here's where you see that chance for maybe a more intense storm to develop across southwest Saskatchewan into southern Saskatchewan on Saturday evening into Saturday night. We'll roll this into Sunday morning. This is now Sunday afternoon. Again, just a broad upper level low pressure system across the area. So scattered showers and storms again for the day on Sunday. We'll take it into Sunday night and then on into the day on Monday. We see another front coming in on the backside here, reigniting those chances for showers and storms during the day on Monday. So total precipitation, definitely variable here based on where we get those pockets of heavier thunderstorms, but yet another 4-day period that continues to bring shower and thunderstorm activity to the prairie. Some people seeing an inch or more. If I just go ahead and flip over to the European model, good agreement here. This is the NAM, this is the European, both through midday on Monday, July 21st. This would be basically July 18th through the 21st precipitation, but then look what happens when I add in the next 10 days that follow that. So this is the rest of the forecast for the rest of the month of July is what I'm trying to say. So this picture here takes us through midday on August 1st. I cannot believe how fast this summer is going, that we've got precipitation forecasts in the 2-week time frame that run into, the month of August. But look at these totals. We're talking about 100 millimeters or more of precipitation in some of these areas. Generally looking at a lot of numbers here between 40, 50, and 100. So we're talking about multiple inches of rain on the table here still to fall over the next 2 weeks. We'll kind of zoom out. We'll look at this in a couple different ways. This is the precipitation anomaly, so the departure from average over the next 2 weeks. You see the corridor that runs from Alberta and then it just goes southeast across the prairies into the northern plains, the Dakotas, parts of the upper Midwest, all the way down here where I'm recording this video in Illinois. Just an open kind of runway for these clusters of thunderstorms to just ride over the ridge and gobble up that hot, muggy summer air that we have building off to the south. Another way to look at this is the 15-day total precipitation forecast from the European Ensemble. So this takes a bit of a smoother look at what the next 2 weeks is going to look like. And of course, you just see that stormy pattern, all of the red shading the area there. We're talking about multiple inches of rain still to come from Alberta down into the Corn Belt. So a great forecast here, though I know that we're talking about fungicide needs here all the way from the prairies down into the Corn Belt. So we love the rain. I know it comes with its own problems here as we sometimes deal with severe weather and locally too much rainfall. A bit of a closer look here at the probability of picking up 1 inch or more over the next 2 weeks. And where you see that red shaded, coloring there, we're at the top of the scale between 90 to 100% chance. And that includes a big chunk of the prairies. And we're talking about a lot of Alberta, some chunks of Saskatchewan in there. And then as you make your way further east, we trail off, but we're still talking about a 60 to 80% chance of picking up 1 inch or more of total rain. And again, across parts of Alberta, central and southern Alberta, maybe even portions of Saskatchewan here, I think that we'll potentially be talking about 2 to 3 inches of rain here over the next 2 weeks with some of these heavier shower and thunderstorm clusters. Again, all of this a product of keeping the jet stream overhead. Where we have, the jet stream gets much weaker, it heads further north as we head through the spring into the late summer here. This is typically as the jet stream becomes, its weakest, seasonally. But if we keep the jet stream around, where that subtle jet stream flow is, that's where thunderstorm clusters get kicked off. So as you just, play this out over the next 2 weeks, this is what you would draw up if you want a stormy pattern here, just a meandering jet stream, but one that doesn't go running off too far to the north. It doesn't allow that ridge of high pressure to really get, carried away. We get a bit of a blocking pattern here across the Pacific that's going to kind of just keep this pattern in place. So we're kind of getting to the point where it's almost too late to really get a prolonged heat wave here across the region. I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood here, but just as we talk about, these are some of the clues that we, look for that kind of point at really big problems as far as heat and drought across North America, some of our ag areas. And we're just getting kind of late and those signals are gone and we're ending up getting stuck in patterns that are favorable here instead of getting stuck in patterns that are unfavorable. So the window stays open because the jet stream stays right overhead. And so as I animate the next 2 weeks of precipitation, you kind of focus in on the Canadian prairies here. You just see kind of every day these green blobs blowing up, and those are your thunderstorm clusters. So the next 4 to 5 days are a little steadier, a little heavier with the rain. This, couple of storm systems coming in as we go through the weekend into early next week. So here I'll go quickly. I know we've seen the, Friday through Monday picture a couple of times, but storm system moving in across Alberta on Saturday, moves into portions of Saskatchewan as well, maybe a strong to severe thunderstorm risk across portions of southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Just be aware of that. If you've got field activities, you're going to be traveling, you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on the radar there. And then, of course, not much you can do if you end up with a hail event down there, but certainly I'd be interested to know about that. So send me your verifications. But maybe a 2-day severe weather risk here Saturday into Sunday across southern portions of the prairie. And then as we get into next week, we just kind of roll on with these thunderstorm clusters. This is the Monday into Tuesday time period, July 21st and 22nd. This is now Wednesday, July 23rd. You get into here to Thursday. This is when we start to get into a pattern where it's probably going to be a hotter, stormier pattern here. We start to bring back the risk for more in the way of organized severe weather. Not terribly concerned, other than that risk I showed you there Saturday evening, maybe carrying into Sunday, but maybe talking more about severe weather, severe thunderstorm clusters as we get deeper into next week, maybe the last 10 days of July. So I know I stopped rattling off the dates here, but you just see basically thunderstorm chances every day. Here's July 23rd. This is Thursday the 24th, a little drier. Friday the 25th. Saturday the 26th. Sunday the 27th. Monday the 28th. Getting all the way out there, Tuesday the 29th, July 30th, and the pattern just stays the same. Thunderstorm clusters developing here, rolling off the mountains and then running east, southeast, through the prairies, down into the northern plains and the upper Midwest. Talked about severe weather over the next few days. The ingredients are there. They're not really screaming at me, but I do think Severe weather is on the table Saturday evening across southern Alberta, southern Saskatchewan. But as we get deeper into next week, you start to see some of these brighter colors appearing across the map. I'll show you what I mean. So this would be Saturday afternoon. I mentioned that area of low pressure swinging right into this area. You see the green shaded areas here. We're talking about, readings in the 1,000 to 1,500 joules per kilogram range. That's certainly enough for severe thunderstorms. Could be, talking about a localized hail risk, maybe a tornado or two on Saturday evening across portions of Alberta and Saskatchewan, southern portions. I'm talking like right in this area that I'm kind of circling. Let's look at Sunday. Take it to Sunday afternoon. Same thing. We're talking about these lighter green shaded areas, maybe some yellow here, where we're getting into the 1,500 to 1,800 range. That's enough for severe weather. But what I see here as we get deeper into next week is some of these bigger events possible. We're talking about the purple shaded colors. We're getting into the 3,000 to 4,000 range now. That's a volatile air mass and one that could certainly spark more intense severe thunderstorm activity. So as we talk about a rainy last 10 days of July, we may at times be talking about severe weather over the next 10 days as well as we finish up the month of July. 'Tis the season across the prairies. Again, a little cooler over the next 4 to 5 days, trending warmer as we get to mid to late next week. We'll see how warm we really get. Again, anecdotally, it seems that over the last few weeks, we've seen the models going after a return of warmer conditions toward the end of the forecast period, and then we get a little bit closer and it's just not quite that bad. So temperatures, generally highs around, 18 to 21 degrees over the next several days in Calgary. Maybe a cooler day on Tuesday with a high of 16, right back up to the mid-20s as we get to the mid to late part of next week. Edmonton, very similar. Stormy, highs in the mid to upper teens over the next few days. Saskatoon, 24 today, a little cooler as we head into the weekend. You see those mid-20s returning again mid to late next week. Very similar in Regina, and then Winnipeg, just a little bit warmer. You're further east, you're a little bit displaced from the origin of some of these storm systems rolling over the top of the ridge, so not quite as impactful with those temperatures. Pretty steady with highs in the mid-20s over the next 5 to 7 days, maybe a little warmer mid to late next week. Again, we'll just kind of see how warm we actually get, but some early evidence maybe a little hotter and stormier as we get to the mid and late part of next week. That would be kind of July 23rd and 24th into the end of July and beginning of August. Again, cannot believe how deep into the summer that we're getting. So that's what I've got for you today. We'll talk again next week, but it just continues to look like nearly daily chances for thunderstorms across the area. Doesn't mean that you see thunderstorms every single day, in your back 40, but we're talking about a pattern that remains wide open for thunderstorm clusters across the Canadian prairies. That's all we can ask for this time of the year. Keep the moisture coming, keep the heat away. We'll see what we've got as we get into the beginning of August.